Hello and welcome to the programme which looks at the Holy Land. I am Paul Calvert. Psalm 62 verse 1 from the New King James Bible says this: "Truly my soul waits for God, from him comes my salvation." I'm with Jonathan Feldstein from Genesis123 Foundation. Now you've just launched a new initiative for displaced children in Israel. Jonathan, tell us more about this.
Thank you, Paul. Initially, I launched an emergency appeal because I knew there would be needs. But you know me and anyone who follows, we always strive for the greatest integrity. So I wasn't going to specifically go out in public on June 13th or 14th or 15th and say, give to this or give to that, because I wanted to assess what the real needs in fact were. And a few days later, just a few days later, it was sort of an epiphany that came to me. I'm the parent of 6. I have 3 children-in-law. I have 4 grandchildren with another one on the way. And I realized that with thousands now, several thousand of Israelis who are displaced and who are literally homeless, many of them losing everything, all their possessions, the most important impact we could make was for at-risk children, for children who were displaced, for children whose parents have been called up into the army again, while the other parent is left at home facing off, trying to get their children into bomb shelters and not able to go to school, not able to go to the playground, for the thousands of children who are living in hotels now. And I witnessed this firsthand yesterday. I realized not only is it an important blessing to be able to provide toys and games and activities for the children who can't get out, who just simply can't go outside to play, but when we're doing that, when we're occupying them, when we're putting a smile on their face, at least it gives a few moments of respite for the parents, if not, in fact, a moment that the parents can smile and enjoy that while the parent is faced between parenting and taking care of his or her children and the stress of also being homeless at this time. So I think that we've hit the nail on the head and launched something that's not only absolutely relevant, but will far out. As we speak today, supposedly there's a ceasefire in place, but even if that's the case, these children are going to be homeless for many months. And what we're doing now is going to provide an impact that's lasting for that period.
Where are these children and families evacuated from?
I visited 2 hotels yesterday. One is a unique group of people that I can't say in public where they're from. The other was a hotel full, 821 people who were evacuated from Holon in central Israel, all of whom had their homes either completely destroyed. If I understood correctly, 50 buildings, not 50 apartments, but 50 buildings that were destroyed. And with that, if not all of their possessions literally, like even the stuffed animals that keeps a child comforted, certainly they didn't come out with very much. And at whatever point the attack took place on their community, they left with the clothes on their back.
So when there's a rocket attack, these families need housed straight away, don't they?
Absolutely. They have nowhere to go. And what we've seen for the now 21 months almost of this war, it's different operations, but it's all still part of the same war, is that we've seen, because there are very few tourists, hotels are logical places where you can quickly put hundreds of people. This hotel that I visited yesterday had been closed, literally closed, the door locked, no employees except for the accounting staff and security. And now the hotel is not only open and full, but bustling. And part of that bustle, you've been into these hotels in Jerusalem, and they're busy in the mornings when tourists are leaving. They're busy in the evenings when tourists come back and have their dinner. But during the days, they're quiet. Now, these hotels, I was there for, 2 or 3 hours yesterday in the afternoon time, and you can watch it. You can see a video on the Genesis123 Foundation YouTube channel that I did with my friend who arranged things for me there. And you hear the background, which is a constant buzz of people talking and kids running, but they can't go outside except for stepping out on the front steps. There's not a playground in sight, and even if there were a playground in sight, it wouldn't be within the 90 seconds needed to get to a bomb shelter in case of an air raid siren.
So these people have been displaced because of rockets. They must be suffering from trauma.
There's no question that they're suffering from trauma. And that also goes to why what we are doing with this campaign is so important. Everyone's suffering trauma. And any parent listening to this knows that his or her primary job is to take care and for the well-being of his or her children. And when a child is stressed, that necessarily creates stress for a parent. So what we're doing is both providing a moment and opportunities for happiness for the kids and also a respite for the parents. But the stress and the trauma, as long as they're not in their homes or anything that resembles a permanent home, we have to remember these are people whose homes were destroyed. So when they go back, I should say this, when they get a new permanent residency, it won't be with the same beds and the same kitchen and the same furniture and the same toys. Nothing will be the same. And that's, especially for a child, going to create traumas that go on for their life. So who knows what it's going to do, but this week officially begins the summer vacation in Israel. Unfortunately, the school year is ending as their summer vacation is beginning in bomb shelters, cramped in hotels, without the ability to go outside and even ride a bike or go on slides in a playground. And I knew we were doing something good, but when I brought the car full of toys and games and activities to the hotel yesterday and saw how the adults responded first, how grateful they were, and the Minister of Social Welfare who was there, coincidentally, I knew we had really struck a nerve and are doing the right thing. So now we're making a very massive appeal all around the world for people to donate even as little as $1 in order to help us provide more of these supplies. Last thing I should say, so I don't forget, I don't know if you have more questions, there was one woman, we were told verbally that there's also a great need for baby formula and diapers. This was played out in one woman who, it seemed the whole time I was there and everywhere I went, she was walking around the lobby and the offices of the hotel uncontrollably sobbing because she needed formula for her baby. Why that's not being provided is another question, and I don't have the answer to that. But I do know if there's a need, it's something that we're privileged to be able to step in and take care of.
Something we don't really realize in the West, that some of these families are single parent families, not because the two parents are missing, but because one of the parents perhaps has gone into the army. And we forget that fact that the other parent is left behind trying to deal with some of these kids, isn't it?
Sure, it's very hard. I use my own daughter and son-in-law as an example. They have 4 little boys under 7, and they've taken now to putting the 3 older boys to bed in the bomb shelter to avoid having to move them after bedtime. You know, bedtime is much earlier for little kids, so you've got that much more time and the risk of having to move your children into a bomb shelter from when they're sleeping. And that's in the best case scenario. That's with 2 parents around. But if my son-in-law is called up, as he is, and it's only my daughter at home, moving 4 little boys in the course of 90 seconds or 2 minutes is really an impossible task and unbelievably stressful. So, and then it goes to the daytime hours as well, when they're awake and they can't go outside to the playground, and then schools are closed and their preschools are closed. So everyone's on top of everyone all the time. And even in the most loving home, that creates stress for everybody. And so again, that's why, you know me well enough. I'm not a super bragger. I don't think that I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread ever. But I'm so proud of the fact that we've really found this niche that's so needed, and not only while there's actual rocket and missile fire, but that's going to be a need that will be ongoing for months.
We had many rocket salvos this morning at 5 o'clock
Yes.
in the morning onwards. Are parents just tired? Not just these kids, but all parents of Israel tired.
It's exhausting. I'm exhausted, and I don't have any kids living at home. But even if your kids are all adults out on their own, You need to touch base. You need to see how they're doing. And even if it's only, and I say that in quotes, only that all of your kids, wherever they are physically safe, but they're also being waken up at 5 o'clock, and it's ongoing until 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and sometimes in the middle of the night, and you never know. That exhaustion alone is physically and emotionally debilitating. And so, yeah, it's very stressful, and I'm exhausted, and I feel run down, and I just feel like if this is all happening, we have to put all efforts into providing the greatest response that can be made. And I'm proud that the Genesis123 Foundation is doing it. And I have to say, terribly grateful for all of the donations, literally from $1 on up to a few $1,000s. And that's enabling us to do a lot.
Now, churches all around the world will be having their summer camps. All kids will be coming together to have a lot of fun. But Israeli kids, it's a little bit different for the ones particularly that have been displaced. So this is a good opportunity for some of these churches to actually remember Israel and Israeli kids and get involved, isn't it?
Excellent point. There basically can be no summer camps in Israel. I was saying to somebody yesterday in the hotel when I realized they can't even take the children who are living there on an outing. They can't take them to a playground or a pool or a something because it's unsafe to put 50 children on a bus and go anywhere at this time. So yes, as children are being sent off to camp and families are planning and packing and preparing for their summer vacations, I would pray that people would have just a momentary thought and take a fraction of what they're spending on their own child's camp, on their own vacation, on filling up their car with gas once, and donating that. Instead of buying a pizza for your family, or not only instead of, take that money and donate the money that's equivalent for a pizza, that we can provide happiness for some children here in Israel. And as of this morning, as you mentioned, there was another barrage of missiles. There was a 7-story building, I forget where, that took a direct hit and 3 people were killed, at least 3 as of the last report, and many injured. And that means hundreds more people who have been evacuated. When I was in the hotel yesterday with 821 people, I had a profound realization that that's at least 10 to 15% in that one building of all the people who've been evacuated from all of the homes that have been destroyed. And other hotels are filling up rapidly.
What was it like for you seeing the kids with a child on their face yesterday after they're receiving a toy or a book or whatever you gave them?
Well, I have to be fully transparent. I didn't get to see that. I went into the hotel asking to see it, asking for them to be distributed so I could see that, but also so I could take pictures and use that as a way to promote what we're doing. And I was told, and it's a correct response, we can't distribute the toys to the kids until we go through and see what's age appropriate. Number one, that was a good response. And number two, we can't just take pictures of children without their parents' permission. And I was so grateful for that response. They promised that they're going to get me pictures, and if we need to blur the faces, we'll blur the faces. But what that showed me is that the people who are in charge in the hotels, looking out for their welfare, are really looking out for their welfare. It's not just the administration of doing things in a pro forma way, but really making sure that everyone is respected and cared for. And we will get photos as time goes on, and there will be other opportunities where I'm going to go fill up my car again and deliver these things. But I was, despite not getting the picture that I wanted, I think that said much more than the picture itself.
What's your website for people who'd like to know more and perhaps give to this this initiative that you're doing?
Thank you, Paul. So it's Genesis123.co, and anyone following from outside of the U.S., where our nonprofit is based, should please go to Genesis123.co and communicate with me through the contact, and I can provide another link that works globally. And I'm also heartened now, Paul, that we are having people donate very little amounts, but from developing nations throughout Africa, in the Philippines, and other parts of Asia, where they don't have a lot of money, but they certainly see that they can and they should step up and be a blessing to Israel and children in Israel. And they are, and that's remarkable.
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for sharing today.
Paul, it's always my delight, and I hope we will get to be able to do this in person soon once a little bit of quiet is restored here.
Thank you for joining us today. Pray that God will move by his mighty power in the Holy Land and bring his peace.